How are we doing today evening? Wow. Should I ask that again? How are we doing? Do we have energy? Are we all excited? Do you know what the three panelists, thank you so much, sir. Do you know what the three panelists has in store for you? We're going to talk about partnerships. We're going to talk about how partnerships are extremely important. We're going to talk about how partnerships are used to bring forward innovation. And there are some excellent conversations, stories, case studies to tell. So do I have your vote, that I have your ears all clued in? I usually do a sense check. Otherwise, all the talk falls on deaf ears. That is your moderator for the evening, Supria Dhanda, for this session. And Veena, welcome. Harish, welcome. Arun. Veena, ladies first.
Thank you. Thanks.
We start with you. We had a fabulous conversation, Veena, where we were talking about how Finastra is, and I was reading about your CEO. Oh my God, what a celebrated, world-renowned CEO you have. Paris, right? I love the name, and she's 2022 top 50 fintech global CEOs. You have a legendary figure there. And Finastra is doing very well. You spoke about a case study where you're partnering, and that's much celebrated, acclaimed case study. So I won't talk about it. I leave it to you to say, share with us how the partnership led to innovation and probably down the line even a flourishing business line that you are leading and doing so well at.
Thanks for that introduction, and very glad to be here. Very glad to share this case study with the audience today. When we speak about partnerships, we typically think it's partners and contractors and vendors and so on. When I talk about partnership today, I'm talking of a different definition. It is partnership with a leading customer of ours, a leading private sector bank, Kotak, and I do have their permission to share the name today. So we had a fantastic co-innovation opportunity with Kotak Bank, and Finastra has a industry-leading, robust solution for digital engagement for corporate clients. So what happened here was Kotak's vision and transformational vision to bring digital engagement to their corporate clients, when married with our robust platform, led to this innovation. Kotak, especially when the COVID-19 pandemic struck, suddenly realized a lot of the business which was typically handled in branches, physical movement of papers, customers coming to the branch to deposit drafts or handle their trade finance transactions, suddenly the world changed. And of course, this vision was there in their mind even earlier, but this precipitated. At the same time, Finastra was looking for opportunity to transform the digital channels business, and the COVID-19 pandemic was the right trigger for it. If you see today, about 70% of banks have digital transformation and customer experience transformation within the top 2 in IT investment budgets. So that, of course, played a good role in the way we ran the co-innovation opportunity. Let me talk you through the why, the what, and the how of this entire case study. Now the why. I gave a little bit of the hint of the why. When Kotak was on this journey to transform their customer experience, they listened to, guess who? Their customers, right? The voice of the customer. And the more they spoke to the customers, the more they realized and they saw where the fragmented business journeys were impacting their ability to grow their business. So the voice of the customer, first, let me give you a few examples. As a treasurer of my business, when I log in, I want to see my dashboard across my entire portfolio, whether it's loans, payments, collections, trade, forex, whatever it is. When I log in as a corporate manager, I want to have a unified experience. I shouldn't be struggling to figure out how to click, where to click, and what to do. As a CFO of my company, when I'm on the move, when I'm busy, when I'm traveling, I want to do my approvals very quickly on the phone. So these were some of the feedback the Kotak senior management was getting. And that is what drove them to lead into this project. So that's the why. Transforming the customer experience, bringing in all aspects of corporate and transaction banking into one single digital platform, unified experience, single-click journeys, everything presented on one platter. So that's the why. Let's look at the what. So what we did was, it wasn't something which was a rip and replace of existing systems. The project was more about delivering and reusing what was already in place. So we dropped the entire project in multiple deliveries, leading to a concept of early time to value. So first drop, 6 months. Trade portal live, 60% of transactions happening STP. Second drop, the treasurer's vision of getting everything on one single dashboard. The third drop, the CFO's dream, having all approvals on the digital device, on the mobile device. So that's how we delivered the what of the transactions. And the third part is really the how. And that's where I want to focus a little bit of the audience attention. The how was about a partnership journey. It was about two equals, bringing in their levels of expertise on either side. Finastra bringing in the product expertise, the technology expertise, the domain expertise, and marrying that with our customers' vision for their customer experience, bringing in the voice of customer, and bringing in the business vision. So when these two things played together, what resulted was an industry-winning case study. We won the IBS Intelligence Global FinTech Innovation Award for the best corporate digital banking platform as joint owners. That's really the proof of the pudding for me. What did Kotak get out of it? 14 times increase in transaction value, 10 times increase in transaction volumes,
Wow.
18 times increase in Forex business, and I think I mentioned this earlier, 60% of transactions going through STP.
Outstanding.
Outstanding transformation.
Outstanding. Well, this one deserves a round of applause. I don't know how many case studies are there. Thank you.
And you would ask me, what did Finastra get out of it? Plenty of innovation, plenty of new business product offerings that we could take out to market, and of course, the excitement of having worked with such an exciting project generates a lot of customer engagement, employee engagement, and pride in what we deliver.
Outstanding.
So that's my.
I love the last one, pride in what we are doing, and we are leading it right from here. Love that, Veena. Thank you so much. And nothing can miss the smile on her face of, when she's talking about the passion, the way this was done. Thank you so much. Lovely. This almost looks like we're going on the pre-panel discussion. I wanted to go with you, Arun, but I ended up going with Harish, so I'm going to do the same here. Harish, talking about Walmart, right? There's a very interesting thing that I learned. We always talk about low price and all, but I didn't know there's an acronym for that, everyday low price. And talk to us at how technology and internal applications are driving and helping drive this big thing that we talk about. And where does the alliance world feature into this, and how have you seen this emerge?
Yeah. Thank you, Supria. And it's a pleasure being here in front of such an intellectual collective. About Walmart, right? I think you kind of told the right thing. So we have this policy called EDLP, which is everyday low price. So this is where our commitment to give the best price for our customers is always unwavering. But for achieving this, we also have an internal motto, which is called everyday low cost, which is where we are always striving for optimization, efficiency on a daily basis in everything we do. So the first thing, what we do from a technology perspective is how do we achieve everyday low cost, even for technology itself, and for also the entire business operations. So when it comes to technology, we kind of are looking at speed, efficiency, optimization in everything we do. So from a Walmart perspective, it's been around the block for a long time. All of you know this. So we've also built a suite of internal applications for running the end-to-end retail value chain. While this is happening, we also acknowledge the fact that the technology market is really moving fast. So we want to always keep up with the market and sometimes keep ahead of the market. And that's where we are always constantly analyzing all of our products and all of our applications to see if there are white spaces or opportunities for collaboration with startups so that we can tap into the startup ecosystem to expedite the impact we drive for our associates, for our customers. So a couple of things we do, my team does, is we are always talking to internal stakeholders. We're doing a portfolio analysis always. This is a throughout the year journey. And we're always talking to venture capitalists, accelerators, startups to identify some startups who are really doing good of sort. And once we find the perfect match between the problem or the white space and the startup is when we start engaging with them. And if we feel this is good enough for us to kind of test them out, we put them through our startup engagement paid pilot program, where we engage with the startup on an average time of around 4 months. And during this 4 months period, we test out two things. One is the capabilities of the startups to really deliver what we want at Walmart. The next is, can they really scale to the extent of Walmart's operation of sort? And on a successful pilot of sort, we then look at long-term partnerships per se. I would probably want to talk about one case study because we're talking about GCCs and India, right? So we had a opportunity to kind of collaborate with one of the Indian startups. We found them via one of our friends and VCs. So the problem is, all of you are aware of how e-commerce works, right? Because all of us are customers of e-commerce. So when a third-party seller comes on board and he wants to onboard their product on the platform, they kind of take a bunch of snapshots and they kind of upload it. But then if these snapshots are not good, the customer experience is bad, and obviously the revenue and the seller experience also is bad. So what is something which we always do when we're working with third-party vendors is, can we do better professional photo shoots? Can we get all aspects of the product elaborated in not just 1 or 2 photos, but probably 4 to 5 photos so the customer can really analyze the product based on the photo and take a good decision? But all of this takes a lot of cost, a lot of time, which also leads to against our EDLC policy, right? So this is where we stumbled upon a deep tech AI startup who does amazing stuff on image processing. So by working with them, we kind of tested them out on multiple levels. So the pilot was quite successful, and we are now looking at long-term partnership with this startup. I'm not sharing the startup name because it's against policies. But having said this, these are the 2 things we achieved from this. One is the turnaround time for the image processing was reduced by 65% on average. And the cost for the image processing was reduced by 96%, which is a lot of benefit which we're bringing back to the customer base and for our
Outstanding numbers.
associates.
They're just getting better and better, right? And Arun, you have a really tall, job here. Thank you. Harish, thank you so much. Fascinating story of how, and I'm sure there are a lot of people here who are supporters of startups. I, for one, I am totally in that space right now. But thank you, Harish. Great story, and we'll come back to you again. Arun, when we talk about startups and we talk about how do you partner, no one does it better than Cisco, right? Or very few do it better than Cisco, I would say. So talk to us about an entire engagement with startup, because that is a very important part of alliances. And then India, we talked, right? We are the 3rd largest. So, and also, while you're answering, talk to us whether you do it in India or you do it across the world. How do you do it? So,
sure. Thank you, Supriya. It is indeed a pleasure being here and talking to you all. One of the things, I don't know how many of you noticed that I'm not part of the engineering team. I'm part of the sales team. Okay, so that is a very important thing why I want to tell you today is because the next part, what is sales team doing with the startups, right? I think you all might have that question. So as a sales organization, Cisco globally does about 90% of the business through our channel partners. We understand partnership extremely well. And in India, it probably is more than 95% of our business which happens through the channel partners. So why startups is very, very important for us in India? So as we go and speak to our customers, customers have business problems, which we are giving solutions to them to solve that. So we stumble upon use cases customers have, and we may not have a solution. Obviously, no one company can solve all customers' problems. So it became very, very important for us to start what we called earlier as Cisco Launchpad, and now we have changed the name to Cisco for Startups. It started around 7 years before, and then we have worked with about 70 plus startups in India, and what we do with these startups. So one clearly is we provide a clear framework and a structure so that we can work with these startups. 2 things what we do. One is value mining and value addition to them. And also try and take these startups across to multiple customers in India if that is a solution which can help our customers. And also, if the same problems are there outside India, we'll help them to do a global expansion. And I think that's the whole idea of starting this and engaging with the startups. So the clear 3 objectives, what we want to achieve out of this is, the first one is, we want to anchor the advancement of technology by engaging with these startups, which we are doing to a large extent with some of the startups. I'll give you an example of what few of the startups whom we are working with. And the second one is essentially with how to make technology inclusive and also include some of these diverse use cases. So inclusivity and diversity is a very important aspect to that. It is essentially to touch people's lives using technology, right? And the third important thing is how to create this talent and technical pool so that we know that there is a pool, and also Cisco investments, if they are interested in any of these technology companies, they can do the investments. Actually, these are the three important objectives what we had when we started this, and that's what we are taking that forward to the next level of that. So what is the program? The program is what we call it as a startup engagement program, or the STEP program. So there are 3 levels. The first one is the Explorer. We see whether these startups, whether there is a synergy between Cisco and that startup, and then onboard them. That is the first step what we do, and discuss some of these use cases. The second step is the builder phase, where we will see, identify the use cases, what makes a difference for our customers, what solves the problem, and then we integrate their solutions along with our solutions, and then see what are the use cases, what we can address using that. The third one is the scaler stage, where we build a joint go-to-market and go and meet customers, position these solutions to enterprises, and try and win deals, which is a win-win for both startups, us, and probably the third win is for the customer, because we have addressed the customer's big problem, actually. So this is essentially what we do with this program. And one of the questions I get asked is, how you select these startups? So selection of the startups is based on what business problems we have. One of the challenges what we had was sustainability. So I am assuming many of you from Bangalore. So during this summer, we had this water crisis. So water conservation is one of the most important aspects, actually. So sustainability solution is one of the solutions which we focused on. And we worked with a startup called FluxGen. I'm not sure how many of you know about this company. And then integrated their solution with our solution, and then helped industries, smart cities, and also some of the hospitals in Bangalore to conserve their water, and their wastage came down by 30%. And as they say, what is monitor? If you can monitor very well, you can manage it very well. So by doing this, we could help many customers to save water, which is really a very expensive asset at this point of time, right? So that's what we did with FluxGen. Similarly, we worked with healthcare startups, wherein we could give a telemedicine kind of a solution for many of the hospitals during the COVID times. That is one of the solutions what we offered. And similarly, we are working with some of the startups in the IoT space to solve some of the problems in mining industry, manufacturing industry. So over a period of time, we are working with about 70 plus startups who are there in our list of startups what we have worked. And this journey continues. And we are creating an impact. We are helping the customers achieve their outcome. And obviously, it is giving an outcome for both the startups and us, actually. Yeah. Thank you.
Fascinating, Arun. Like I said, the numbers just keep getting better. We have an excellent 70 number to talk about. And Harish, I'm sure you're wondering, how it is your number? But don't worry, I'm not going to ask you that. Arun, when you talk about 70 startups, it's a great number. Couple of things come to mind. One, it's India-based for now, the number that you're talking about?
It's all India-based.
All India-based.
All
Outstanding.
India-based.
And I love NextGen. I think it's just fascinating story. And I think with water crisis, well, we have so much we can do with this startup. A quick question that comes, two actually come to mind. One, I'll ask, what have you seen? There's an entire thing about startups, 1 succeeds, 9 fail and all that. We're all plagued with that. But when a corporate comes in at the inception stage and go-to-market becomes, with such a great brand as Cisco, part of the value offering, do you see the success ratios different from an otherwise a vanilla scene, which probably startups are struggling with?
Yeah, so one of the things is we give this platform for them. Clearly, we give that platform for them. So we provide multiple things when we start exploring and then doing the builder phase of it, integration. So we give them workspace. We give them technology to test their solutions. and we mentor them with our engineering resources, sales teams, and also the HR and marketing teams.
And what's the broad duration for this?
Typically, the explorer to builder phase can be anywhere between 3 months to 1 year.
Awesome.
Yeah, so since we need to do the testing and do the pilots, it takes that. So this is what we do help them with. And if you look at, I mean, from a startup point of view, rather than addressing this question, there are two big issues for startups. So I'm sure everybody knows this. The first one is investments. They need money. The second one is market access. So they built a product. They have built a product, and they want to test this in the market. So what we are trying to address here is the second problem. The second problem of market access. But think of this. If somebody gets few customers, their chances of getting investments becomes much
Absolutely.
higher. Actually,
Absolutely.
so we are trying to solve the second problem. The first problem, even Cisco investments probably say that, yeah, it is an interesting startup. I am also interested. There may be chances that Cisco investments also will invest into that. But however, we also give them an access to the VC community. There are people who will look at them, and the chances of becoming successful is much higher when they get associated with GCCs.
Couldn't agree more, Arun. Arun, thank you. Fascinating story. Thank you. We'll go to Veena now. Veena, when we're looking at these partnerships, this keeping the nimbleness, keeping flexibility, and then fostering innovation, staying with the theme, what do you think are the one or two crisp success criteria to make this work? Something that our friends can take back and say, well, now I have the secret sauce, so I'm going to make this work.
Okay, I'm going to misuse your sentence. You said 1 or 2, I'm going to make it 1 plus 2. Okay, so three success factors.
I started with 3, I just brought it to 2.
I'm used to cheating the system a little bit. So 3 quick success factors, and I'll keep it crisp. First, I think in any co-innovation project, especially when it's a client, the alignment of the vision is very important. So aligning the product vision with the customer vision and making sure that alignment is right at the top end of the house. So alignment of vision is very, very critical. The second, which is coming out of the first point, is that vision needs to translate down the levels, right down to the engineer or the tester or the BA who's working on this entire initiative. Because if you lose the vision as it comes down the house, then the project goes completely awry. So I think the second important point out of the vision comes that the leadership which has driven the vision needs to stay connected through the entire engagement to make sure the vision is kept true and agile. So change it as it needs, but never let it become a custom or a bespoke initiative. So that is the second important thing. And the third important thing is to really make it an equal partnership. Especially, like I pointed out, when you're working with a customer on a co-innovation project, and if you're a software company, we all know the risks. How close can you stay to your product vision, and how fast you can get to a customer bespoke version. And that's a very fine balance that you need to maintain, and that happens only when your co-innovation partner comes to the table with a partnership and a collaboration mindset, not about I say, you do kind of a mindset. So I think that was the third important success factor for us. So these are the 3 things.
Fascinating. I love the way you say this, Veena, because what struck me is I love all the 3 points, and thank you for sticking to say, well, you may ask 1 or 2, I am going to say 3. Well, if there's tenacity and resilience, I think it comes right through. Thank you for that. But I love the point that typically when we engage with a partner, we say vendor, supplier, and all that. We still haven't moved away from some of those terminologies. But the fact that you're co-creating, you have a seat at the table, you're co-innovating, and then we have a joint mission, I love that. That's my favorite, though I love all the 3 points. Thank you. And the smile just keeps getting better. Thank you so much. Harish, back to you. I love that everyday price, low price, is internal metric of everyday low cost. How simple is that thing? And yet we can spend sometimes, decades not figuring this out. It's just amazing. I love the simplicity. What do you think has been the success of getting these internal apps going and making sure you work on cost? And obviously, price is just a follow-up outcome of that.
Probably I'll talk about the startup piece in terms of this. Okay.
That's my favorite. Go ahead.
Yes.
Do we want him to talk about startup? Come on, guys, wake up. Well, if yes, please have a show of hands. A show of hands. Higher. Excellent. We will have 3 minutes for question and answers, and please don't waste seconds. We will come to you with 3 minutes, so please have your questions ready after we close with Arun. Harish, over to you.
Sure. So key thing for any startup engagement is look at the impact before you start the engagement. So this is what we do. We do basically quality over quantity. Having said this, let me throw some numbers, right? Over the last few years, we've worked with a lot of startups. Just in the last 12 months, we've started or completed working with 20 plus startups. It seems high, but let me kind of go back on the top of the funnel. So we get around 1,000 plus leads. We meet around 450 plus startups. And then we only work with around 20 plus startups.
That's so cruel.
Yeah, which is what I'm trying to say is, what we do is the key thing, right? Before any collaboration, we sit down, we kind of really calculate meticulously what would be the long-term success of this partnership in terms of numbers, in terms of finance, right? And only if we see a high ROI out of this, that is obviously, we do not know if it's going to be successful or not successful, but going with this optimistic view of if it is successful, this is the amount of ROI we will be getting back, only then we start with the engagement. And then there is no more questions on any side on why are we doing this, because very clear on why we're doing this.
Outstanding. I love that. Enough time goes in planning and getting that. And a follow-up question, how much of that planning, going from 1,000 to 20, what's the success ratio from those 20?
From those 20, I think a lot of them have ended up as long-term partners, some even as acquisitions. Yes.
So fairly high success rate. Outstanding. Thank you. Arun, you said that very clearly. Here is the launch pad. Here you apply, and these great names of Explorer, Builder, and all. What do you think is the success criteria? Same question. What makes this work for Cisco?
Yeah, I also told that I am from the sales organization,
Amazing.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the success criteria is the revenue, the additional revenue, what we get out of it, and what the startups make out of that. So clearly the outcome, it should be impactful outcome for both us and for the startups in terms of revenue. And from a customer satisfaction point of view, what we are looking at is whether we could solve that customer's problem end to end. Actually, I think that's the most important thing. So one is the revenue, second is the customer satisfaction, and the third is what I was telling about the SDG, right? I mean, your sustainable development goals. So we are aligned to those also. So we are doing something for the community and for the society also by doing that and working with the startup community in India, actually. Yeah.
Awesome. You did say technology to touch lives. Now we realize we need to have technology detach.
Yeah, it should. Yeah, you should. Yeah.
Oh, great. What is coming through, and I'm sure you're taking your notes or probably tuning in, what's coming through is very clear. The clarity, the focus, the precision with which you approach, the time that's spent on planning. I think that's coming out extremely clearly, the value on the table, and I think which is what is driving. Again, for our GCC partners here, if I was to ask you three, and this time please, whoever goes first, what's the playbook? If they were to go and forge alliances, and you were to say, well, my experience tells me to do this way, what would that one thing be?
Maybe I go
Yeah,
first?
Harish?
Two things when it comes to startups and partnerships. Network. Three things then. Basically, you as the GCC need to understand the entire business globally really well for you to be able to take decisions on when a startup partnership makes sense. Having said this, you also need to know how the entire startup ecosystem is growing. You need to know the trends really well for making this perfect matchmaking between the internal and external. So keep networking internally with all of the leaders, keep networking externally with all of the startups, accelerators, other GCCs, because a lot of other GCCs like Cisco are also doing a lot of things around startups, right? So anything as information which can help you decide better is what it's going to be.
Amazing. You just said it. When I took over the country manager for Western Digital, I asked my boss, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? How do I understand this complicated business and, be the face? And he said, network. So if he's sitting in US and tuning at any point of time, my God, this is 8 years back, and you just refreshed my memory. Brilliant. Who wants to go next? Veena, is that you? Yes?
Happy to be the sandwich this time in the sandwich. So I'm very fortunate to work in a company which is truly global. So the coinage GCC doesn't really strike a chord with me because we are running as an organization which is truly global. And we have large business lines, large ownerships, large roles based right out of here. And that's not something which is a GCC construct at all. So fundamentally for me, the concept of GCC is a little alien. Having worked in this company for 10 years, that is not really stuck. But anyways, since there is an audience which is interested in the topic, I think I will take a few parallels from what I've seen in our company, and I'll translate them for the benefit of the audience. One, I think, is to bring the ownership mindset. So moving away from being an order taker to owning your business, to owning your product line, to owning your quality, owning your engineering, whatever it is that we're doing in this setup is very important. So moving away from order taking to ownership mindset is primary. Second and most important is also that we need to bring in the business acumen. And I think this was also mentioned a couple of times in earlier sessions, and I think he mentioned it as well. Bringing in the business acumen. If I do this action, what is the impact on my company's financials? Am I going to move the needle on revenues? Am I going to move the needle on customer satisfaction? Am I moving the needle on bookings? Whatever the parameters you want to apply. So moving away from pure output, outcome, towards impact. And aligning what you do here with your company's vision, with your company's strategy, and your company's financials is the second most important. So 2 points, moving away from order taking to ownership, and second is to bring the business acumen into the organization, very important.
Very clear, very clear. Awesome.
Yeah, I think the first important thing is clearly customer priorities. We will continue to align with what our customer priorities are, because whatever solutions what we are building is to solve customers' problems. So aligning with customer priorities is the first one. Second one is, what is our vision for Cisco for Startups? I told you about 3 objectives what we want to achieve there. So the second is third. And the third one is how to identify these startups, right? I mean, I think that's a very important thing. Earlier we used to do multiple rounds of get startups and then shortlist them. So, but what we do now is something called as spotlight sessions. So we identify 4 or 5 startups, get all the stakeholders within Cisco to come and listen to them, and then identify where are the synergies, whether we can work with them to, based on what customer priorities are, and then align with them, and then go forward to move to the builder and the scaler phase with them. And the fourth one, I mean, what startups need, right? I mean, we always think from our perspective. We also have to think from the startups' perspective. Startups need 2 important things, which is, one is, okay, they need to take their solution and see success as soon as possible. And the second one is, once they start seeing this success, they also have global expansion plans, and then how we can help them actually. So I think these are the 4 success criteria I would say are very, very important, both for us and the startup community, which essentially we are trying to solve some huge problems which are there for the business.
Outstanding. We almost have a complete playbook. If I was to combine what all 3 of you have said, it'll require some good memory. We're talking about understand what your priorities are. Be very clear. Obviously, network within the company and outside equally well, and be an ecosystem player, which is a favorite, because otherwise you don't know what is happening out there. You don't know what's happening. And I would say clearly have an enterprise mindset. And when you're leading from India, be it a GCC or be a business P&L you're leading from India, or you're a global vertical kind of being led from India, well, just make sure that you have a vision and you're leading from India too. Gone are the days of being order taker. I love that. And I just thought, that should be a punchline to say, well, we deliver value, and more than value, we deliver impact. Brilliant. We have 4 or 5 key points. We'll open up for question answers. We have 3-4 minutes. If you have been really listening in and tuning in, then we'll throw the mic back to you. Whoever is facilitating, will pass the mic around if there are questions, please. Do we have a show of hands if you have questions for the panelists? Yes, Mr. Satyakam. Can someone hand over the mic, please? It's too far for me to drop.
Hey, I have a question.
So we have one question here from the front row, and then who else has a question? Brilliant, we have 2, 3. Outstanding, let's move fast. Can we have the mics, please? In the front row first.
I think he has the mic.
Who has the mic already? Someone has a mic, why don't we go ahead then? Brilliant, yes ma'am.
Hi, my name is Tanya. I work for Novo Nordisk, and I also work in the capacity of digital innovation, where we source startups for the company. So my question is, how do you grow internal appetite for startups beyond just a POC?
Any particular panelists you want them to answer? Or is this free for all?
It's free for all.
Free for all. Brilliant. Love that. How do you? Could you repeat your question?
So how do you ensure and grow appetite internally for engaging with startups beyond just a proof of concept?
Brilliant. How do you grow your internal appetite for a startup?
So yeah, this is actually what we do that. I mean, we do the POC, identify the use case, and integrate their solution with our solution and take them to our customers. Actually, so essentially, I mean, I think there are two parts how you look at. So look at a startup solution and try and find a customer for that. That takes a longer time. But however, if you know what the problem is, and then try and find the startup to solve that problem, it becomes much more faster actually. So if you know the problem which you are addressing, it becomes much faster. But if a startup comes with a very innovative idea, sometimes it works very well. You know that, oh, for this customer, I may be able to solve this actually. So for us, we have done that with a couple of startups. I can name few of them. Unlike him, I can name all these startups because you can.
Classic sales. That was sales, Arun.
you can use them in your organization. FluxGen is one startup. They do water management, water conservation. Amazingly good solution. And then we have done it in Uttarakhand Smart City project. We have done it in few of the hospitals in Bangalore. So that solution works, scales very well, and customers are very happy. Testlon, it is a healthcare. They use Cisco solution and integrate their solution for doing telemedicine solution. Suke is another company who are doing IoT-based solution to solve problems in manufacturing, mining, and multiple verticals, actually. So I have many more like that examples because we are addressing a problem and trying to find a startup to see that. And that's exactly what I told about the spotlight sessions. We know the problem, identify startups who can play a role there, get 5 or 6 startups, and then see how we can get them on board, and then start building those use cases, testing it, and then taking it to the customers and do the POCs.
Thank you. Thank you, Arun. Can we have the next question, please?
My name is Arun. A question is, you've been on this engaging with startups for a few years. What would be your advice to a new company that's trying to engage with startups from your learnings of failing with some startups and so on? Is there a catalog for startups that we can look at right now?
There is no catalog for startups. And that's where your network, for example, nasscom is like a perfect thing, right? So they have a lot of connects with ecosystem and startups. So please talk to folks at nasscom to get those connects. Regarding learnings, your business priority has to be crystal clear, and it has to have a top-down buy-in of sort. You cannot try an experiment because, like I think the previous participant asked, the appetite for startup needs to be brought in top-down, and then you can really get this value out of the startup engagement. That's what I would say.
You were hoping for a playbook, but he just said that, grope a little bit in the gray and the dark before you get there. But you know what I'll tell you the shortest way? The reason why Harish and Arun are here, as much as they're sharing their expertise, it's also for networking. So my sense, accost. Catch up with them, get their time, drop a LinkedIn, and under the nasscom banner, you can totally network, and that's the power of this platform. So I would say use it effectively, and you'll have your answers. Thank you.
Happy to help.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Satyakam.
Hi, I'm Satyakam. I founded in the enterprise space, and now I invest in people who are founding in that space. So from my own experience and what I've seen, if the startup have got their proposition right, then the fit happens, of course. But oftentimes when they're trying to go through some of these programmatic approaches that large corporations have, what happens is you need A plus B. The startup's got a A plus B plus C or a A plus B minus C, right? And they get a little stretched and stressed in trying to fit there. And obviously the large corporation oftentimes doesn't have the patience to say, okay, we can sort of modify what we need because they need what they need. So do you see that? Does that cause attrition? And have you tried to address it?
Arun, you want to take it up?
I'll paraphrase that. I think there's a little bit of an audio. Satyakam, tell me if I got it right. I think what he's trying to say is if there's a startup and probably has a value offering, they're doing A plus B plus C plus D plus E, and that kind of A to E is the value chain that they're mapping, but you realize the C to D is pretty much that fits in with you and not the A or this. And therefore, in a situation like that, how do you work with them? Do you have the patience to work with them? Kind of pivot their offering to what you want? How do you approach situations like that? Did I get that correct?
Okay. So, yeah, if few of their solutions can help address some of the problems, we will surely work with them. So the first part of it in our explorer phase, what we do is to see that synergy. Do we have that synergy? Even in 1 or 2 areas, if we have it, we will go ahead and do that actually. And if the impact is more, we will do that much faster. If they have, say, five A, B, C, D, E, and we see that, oh, A fits us very well, but it has a huge impact for us, we will go ahead and do that actually. I mean, yeah, and then typically what happens with these startups also is they pivot. It is not that the first solution is what they stay with. I'm seeing startups pivoting and doing a lot of advancements. So it gives them time to do those things to move to the other spaces also as we start working with them.
Well, with that, we bring it to a close. Thank you so much. The time is up. It's all deep red that I'm staring at. Panelists, thank you so much. It was a fabulous session. I hope you enjoyed it and I have some key takeaways. And they are, of course, there to network and build your connections forward. Thank you, nasscom.
Supria.
For more content on tech and leadership, subscribe to nasscom YouTube channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.